Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a short but absolutely devastating monologue called The Jester's Interlude. We're going to see how this one piece sets up an entire tragedy before it even really starts, and how it makes us, the audience, insiders to a downfall that's already in motion.
Okay, let's just jump right in, because everything hinges on this one line. See, this isn't a story about someone deciding to become a jester. It's about someone who just stops pretending to be something else. This line pulls us out of the public performance and straight into a private, unguarded confession. It's the key to the whole story.
To really get it, we're going to walk through the 5 parts of his monologue, but think of them less as parts of a speech and more like 5 steps on a path he's chosen, a path that leads down into a really difficult truth. We're going to meet the man, hear his philosophy, learn his methods, and finally, face his deepest fear with him.
So let's take that first step down with him. And right away, we realize this journey didn't start with some big grand plan. It started with a quiet, private moment of just giving in.
This is the first big shift we see. The public mask comes off. All the bells and the bright colors, they're gone. And suddenly we're in this personal space with him, away from the eyes of the court. He's not performing for them anymore. He's talking to us.
And you have to understand, this framing of his identity is everything. He didn't chase the role of the jester. He didn't apply for the job. He just stopped fighting who he naturally was. It wasn't an ambition. It was a surrender. And that simple fact just makes him instantly, deeply human.
All right, so we know how he got here. Now he pulls back the curtain on the intellectual prison he lives in every day. See, he's not just some guy cracking jokes. He's a living, breathing part of how the court sees itself.
He's basically wrestling with this big philosophical idea from a guy named Fichte, who said, we figure out who we are by figuring out who we are not. And for the court, the jester is their not-self. He's the chaos to their order, the joke to their seriousness. He's the funhouse mirror they hold up to prove to themselves that they're normal. And boom, there it is, the turn. He takes this dusty old philosophical concept and gives it a pulse. He gives it desire. The court's own philosopher would never ask this question, right? Because the not-self isn't supposed to want anything. By asking this, the jester stops being a philosophical object and becomes a person with a plan, a dangerous one.
So he's laid out the why of his existence. He's trapped. But a philosophy isn't a strategy. After asking what he wants, he now has to show us how he's going to get it. This is where he confesses his methods. This is such a critical moment, because we're shifting gears. We're moving from the big, abstract problem to the practical, tactical solution. If the whole Fichtean thing was the diagnosis, what we're about to hear is the prescription. He's opening up his toolkit.
Now, here's the thing. The source material never actually tells us what these 3 masks are. But it tells us something way more important. It tells us that each performance, each dance, comes from a real, specific grievance. This isn't just random comedy. It's targeted. He's admitting, in private, that his jokes are weapons, and each one is fueled by actual pain.
Okay, deep breath. Because everything has been building to this. His origin story, his philosophy, his methods. All of that was just the setup. Now we get to the absolute core of his confession. This is the moment he tells us exactly how the story is going to end.
What he's about to do is create this incredible sense of dramatic irony. He's basically making us his co-conspirators. He's letting us in on the secret, so we'll know exactly what's happening long before anyone in the court has a clue.
And there it is. He just says it. He's not being subtle. He is telling us, straight up, that this downward path he's on, this whole performance, is designed to reflect back on himself. The very weapon he uses to expose the court will be the thing that destroys him. We know his destination now. It's his own ruin.
So, the journey reaches its final and most terrifying stop before it even begins. He's laid out the whole plan. Now, he has to face the one thing about it that truly, deeply scares him. It's not the king's anger or the executioner's axe. It's nothing external. His terror is purely internal. It's that existential dread of, what if when I take off all the masks, there's actually nothing there? For someone whose entire identity is a performance for others, it is the ultimate fear. This just lays out his journey perfectly, doesn't it? Back in the first movement, he accepted his job title, his social role as the Jester. But now, at the end, he's steeling himself to find out if there's any person left underneath the costume.
It's a journey from accepting his function to confronting his very substance.
And his answer to that colossal fear isn't some confident yes. It's not certainty. It's just pure, uncut courage. He has no idea what he's going to find at the bottom of this road, and that's not going to stop him. The simple will to go forward into that terrifying unknown, that's the only answer he needs. So you see the 5 steps of the descent. It's this clear, deliberate path. It starts with an intellectual struggle, what he is and why, moves into a methodical confession of how he'll operate, and it ends with this raw emotional courage to face the final question of who he is. He's ready. And that's the final thought he leaves us with. This whole parable, this inverted road, it's about something we all understand, right? It's about the roles we play, the masks we wear, and the sheer terror and bravery it takes to finally turn the mirror around and take a hard look at whatever's underneath.